My name is Thach Nguyen. I live in Seattle, Washington. I've been a real estate broker, real estate investor, real estate developer, and a philanthropist for the last 35 plus years.
Welcome to The Vietnamese. I'm your host, Kenneth Nguyen. Being part of a culture of nearly 100 million Vietnamese people in the world today comes with a lot of pain, proud history, and privilege. Join me as I highlight and explore the Vietnamese experience from all over. Before we start with the questions, I want to commend you on keeping your first name. I want to ask you what motivated you to keep your first name and not have an American name?
For many years, when I was younger, coming up in the U.S., of course, everybody want to change their first name, right? But then, I don't know, at some point in my life, Tat became almost like my own identity, right? And then as I became more and more successful, and I start to find and understand who I am more, then the Tat is actually unique because then it almost stand on its own like Oprah. So today, a lot of people know me from Tat. They don't even know me by Thach Nguyen. You know what I mean? And so it actually did me more of a favor than changing it to an American name. So that's why I kept it.
Damn, I wish that my parents and so many other parents who were coming from Vietnam at the, in the early days knew that, because, what a beautiful thing to be able to keep your own name.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree,
It's a beautiful thing. What does it mean to be Vietnamese to you nowadays?
Oh man, there's so much, when I went back to Vietnam, first of all, my dad was a translator for the U.S. military back in Vietnam, before the evacuation. And so when we got word that, they're taking over Vietnam, South Vietnam, the U.S. troops flew out and they asked my dad, why don't you come with us, take the family? And I was about 5 years old, and we left out of there and landed in the U.S. We basically came with $100 and a suitcase for 8 of us. And for many, many years, my dad really never wanted to go back to Vietnam. He was scared, you know what I mean? But when he got, over that, he went back, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. And then my mom and him would go back every year. And I remember the first time I went back, I didn't really understand what it is where I actually grew up. I didn't really understand what my root was. When I went back for the first time and I see my aunt and all my cousins in pictures, and I got to see them in real life and how they live, I was like, wow.
How old were you then?
I was probably at that time, maybe, probably 25, 26, 27 years old, somewhere in there. And I was already selling real estate. I was making some money. And when you live over here and a 27, 28, 29-year-old guy and making, $500,000 a year, then you go back to Vietnam, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
Back, especially 20 years ago, right? They didn't have all the high rises in Saigon. And then my dad took us back to where we used to live. And it's nothing but alleys and countryside. Man, that's what I really appreciate, how far I came. And today, what it means to be Vietnamese is that there's so many people who live there and live here that been where I was at, but then not too many been where I'm at over here. And to me, I represent the Vietnamese people and showing them if I can do it, they can do it. So it's both sides of the coin for me now, inspiring my people and then also showing them anything is possible. That's my purpose today.
This idea of anything is possible and all this personal development, you share a lot of this stuff in conjunction with the real estate stuff. And we'll get into the real estate, stuff in your life, which is very exciting and important. But one thing that I've really kind of studied is your path to personal development with things like Abraham Hicks
Yeah.
and things like Tony Robbins. Where did you along the way figure out that that's important in the journey?
Yes. When I was 21 years old, I came out of college and my friend influenced me to start being a realtor. And I was young, dumb, hard headed, you know what I mean? Spending a lot of money, just like anybody else. And when I got into real estate, I was lost. And then I remember when I was 24 years old, a friend of mine said, you should go check out this guy named Mike Ferry. He's a real estate trainer. He's really good on real estate. If you got to do real estate, you should really understand how to do it right. And this is the guy. And he came to Seattle, did a seminar. I went to see him, and he was talking about you can't just sit around waiting. You got to go out there and find business. And I was sold. I was like, whoa, that makes sense. And what happened was I got exposed to Mike Ferry, and Mike Ferry was the first person that really exposed me to real estate, but also personal growth. Because he spoke about personal growth, right? Coming up, learning from Earl Nightingale and Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins, and he would blend personal growth and real estate all within the same conversation. And from there, I was just hooked into all the personal growth. And then I met a lot of people on the journey, not just personal growth like Tony Robbins or Brian Tracy, right? But personal growth and spiritual.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother level.
Yeah, I see that because I'm surprised because a lot of people that you see on Instagram or TikTok, it's really about the money, Lamborghini money,
Yes.
but it's not about because once you start talking about Abraham Hicks, and it was like two posts that you talked about it, I was like, okay, I got to reach out because this is something different. We don't see this all the time, and the importance of these deep spiritual practices when you incorporate it into money mindsets are.
Yeah.
Just really does take you to another level.
Yeah, because let's be honest, there's a lot of people that's out here I know that make good money, but deep under they still feel, why am I here? What's my purpose? Why is my kid not, aligned with me? Right? Why do they don't want to associate with me? Or why don't they want to listen to me? Or, why am I not fulfilled and happy? Because personal fulfillment and spiritual fulfillment is different than financial fulfillment. So you can have a lot of money, but you might not understand spiritual fulfillment. What's the difference having 100 million in the bank and you can't find peace and serenity? It don't mean nothing. Peace of mind to me is underrated for so many entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, that's very true. So you were like 5 when you got to the US, and where did your family resettle?
Yep. So when we came here, we landed in San Diego, and that's where a lot of the Vietnamese people came, San Diego. And we were there. They used Camp Pendleton, the barracks, for all the shelter. And then Governor Evans from Washington State migrated like 500 families up to Washington in Tacoma, and they used Fort Lewis as the other barracks to house all the family there until they can find family sponsorship. There was a gentleman that worked in the shelter there named Charles Zettler, and he and his mom, Charles didn't have any kids. His mom and Charles at the time was like probably in his 50, and his mom was in the 70, and they decided to sponsor our whole family to live with them.
Wow.
And they took care of us for 2 years. And then my dad found a job as a social worker because he spoke some English back then, and he became a social worker, and he helped a lot of the Vietnamese people come to the U.S. And that's how we end up, had a place to stay. And then we moved up to Seattle, which is about 45 minutes south of where we used to live. And we made Seattle, and where I grew up in, which is the zip code 98118 in Seattle. It is the most diverse zip code in the United States today.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And what was it like growing up for you?
It was hard, man. When you growing up, Asian, minority, which wasn't a common thing. I remember going to school and people used to make fun of me for my haircut, make fun of for the clothes you wear, the pattern pants, right? Going to the food bank collecting the big ass box of cereal and the big giant block of cheese.
Mhm.
And they used to make that. Of course, we didn't know no better, right? And those are the kind of stuff I grew up with, experiencing. It made what's interesting is that it made me motivated, but it also made me how would I say it? When I was in elementary school, I got teased for wearing fake Izod shirt and polo shirt because you get them, you can get them, in Chinatown, right? And inside, what happened was I unconsciously made a decision to say, "Fuck you! I'll prove to you that um I'm not, stupid and poor. I'm gonna go out there and make money." So internally, I accepted that because in my mind, when that happened as a young kid, we say, because of course I learned all this stuff. I got older. In our mind, that's why I try to teach my kid when an event ever happened, I got to talk them through so they don't actually make their story and make it true. So I didn't know that. I made the story that, because when you're like in elementary school, you make up the story like, I'm poor and I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm poor or I'm stupid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. But let me ask you this though. You have two kids, right? You have two boys.
Yep.
Now, the hardships that you went through and the internalized process of saying, I'm gonna do better, fuck
Yep.
you, I'm gonna make more money.
Yeah.
But that's missing in your kids' generation today because they have what they need to not have to go through that. Do you think it's
True.
better to have gone through what you went through or what your boys are going through right now, having basically anything they want?
That's right. That's a good question. Even though I'm rich, my kid, they don't have to live in a ugly piece of shit house that I
Yeah.
grew up in. My kid did have to ride in the back seat of my dad's two Nissan 2NSX. They used to ride in a Bentley. But my kids don't get any more than that. I already told my kid when I grow up, I'm sorry, when I and my wife Cammy passed away, they're gonna get a small percentage of my money, and the rest of it will be donated into some good cause. So they're not gonna get the fortune. I want to do what Warren Buffett does. I want to do what Bill Gates does. And I think if I leave my kid with billions of dollars when I pass away,
They're
I'm
fucked.
just gonna unmotivate them,
Yeah.
fuck them up. You know what I mean? And not train them now to be entrepreneur and go chase after their own dream versus sitting around waiting for mom and dad to give them the $1 billion empire.
But that doesn't, right? Like when you look at them, you're like, you guys can't be as driven as I was,
True.
right?
It
You,
is. It is hard.
it's
It is
hard,
hard. Like, for
right?
example, like my kid, if they want expensive shoes, right, they have to go buy with their own money. I ain't buying it for them.
Right.
Now, I can tell you though, there's a lot of parents out there, American parents, including Vietnamese parents. I got Vietnamese parents that live where I live, which is an expensive neighborhood. Their kids coming into school with expensive clothes, shoe, shirt, jacket. They let their kid drive their Porsches. My kids, listen, I tell them, I want you got to learn and make your own money. I want you to learn how to save. If you don't have enough money to buy it, don't come looking and ask me because I ain't gonna help you. You gotta learn how to save. You can't be spending all your money. And when they get late money and they get birthday money, they can spend half of it. They should put the rest away, right? And right now they own washer and dryer machine. They got to go out there and they got to service the machine. They got to collect the money, and that's the money that they get to save. But I don't financially spoil my kid, but they do get to live the good life that I have around, but they don't get the all the other stuff that go along with it because I'm rich. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
But still, not coming up 100% like how I came, it make you super hungry. There is definitely a balance, man, on
Mm.
trying to drive my kids. And the good thing, my kids, they play sports. And I always use the analogy. Look, as much money daddy have, I can't even buy you a seat on the baseball team.
Right.
You got to earn it. And later on, right? all that tough love I'm teaching you about money, you gotta learn how to earn your own money. Because when I pass away, you don't know how to make your own money, right? You're gonna be screwed. So they play sports, and for them, when they started, they have to work their way up to be the top 5 batter on the team, and it's a competitive baseball team to play on. And that's a great example of. I tell them, I got all the money in the world. I can't even buy you a seat. You got to earn it.
Your family, when you first came to the United States, had 8 kids or 6 kids? Was it 6 and your 2
6
parents?
kids.
6
Yeah.
kids. Okay. Because I know there was 8 of you that left Saigon, and I was just doing the math. The way your mom and dad raised you, is it similar to the way that you are raising your children in terms of not spoiling and all of that? Or were they not even conscious of it? They were just trying to make ends meet?
Trying to make ends meet. But my mom and dad, they would never tell us we had to be doctors. They had to be lawyers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And they just let us just take our own path. And I think that a lot of parents today, especially the Vietnamese Asian family, they try to form their kids and have their kid do what they want them to do because they never actually got the opportunity to fulfill their own dream of it. And I see a lot of Asian kids when I speak to them, when I do public speaking, if I ask 100 hands are raised and I ask them, keep your hand up if you're doing what you're doing today because you want to do, not your parents. Literally 90% of the hand go back down.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Because, hey, the parent come over here. Look, do you understand how much work I got? Get over here. I work my freaking ass off so I can provide you the best. So you don't have to suffer like me. And, try to get you to school. And, you got to go out there, go get a good education, go get a good job. So you can take. Are you doing it? Are you telling the kids that for themselves? Or are you doing it because you wanted to fulfill your own, goals and dreams that you never fulfill?
Right.
And
living through them.
I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. You know what I mean? But you got to let your own kids, man, find their own path.
Now you have 6, there's 6 of you. Did the other 5 make it across the finish line in a way that they're all proud of? And, it's like kind of comparable to you, or did you all not make it the same?
It's interesting. My mom and dad, never looked at none of us like we didn't make it. They didn't say, man, Thach is the one who came financially rich. Everybody else is just normal. They didn't say he's better. They just like, it's just normal. When I was younger, so my oldest brother, he's a pilot. That's his passion. He became a pilot. He started with commercial, and then he became a private pilot for a lot of the rich people in Seattle. He probably make 100 grand a year. His wife make probably 70,000 a year. And they live in a very modest house in Seattle, probably worth 700,000, but he's happy.
Yeah.
He loved flying. Every time he's catching my brother, he's flying somewhere. And what's interesting is he's been at places where I haven't been at because he flew for all the wealthy people and they take him to their house. You know what I mean? 30, 40, $100 million houses in the state and the islands. My brother has seen a lot of stuff, right? That most people who are millionaires don't see. So it's that. The rest of my other brother, one of them is Boeing. He worked for Boeing as an inspector for the 787. Another one is an investor, a realtor. My sister's a nurse. So, but when I was young, I used to always try to, I guess, force my brother and sister to do personal growth to help them try to understand personal growth so they can make more money. And they used to say, this is what they used to say to me. Right? It wasn't their path. It wasn't the inspiration. And I realized as I got older and I got more spiritual enlightened, everybody got their own path. And so when I'm with my family and everything, I never talk about money. They know I got money, but like we're gonna go to Vietnam next December and I'm paying for everybody's trip. And I've been doing that for years. But I never talk about, and I don't make being rich better than them. So we just like brother and sister. And then when we get ready to do family trips or something, I told them, look, you got paid for your hotel. I'll pay for everybody's airplane ticket, even your kid's airplane ticket to go to Vietnam next year. There's like 25 of us.
Holy
and you can do the math and you can see how much it is for airplane ticket.
Oh, that's crazy. Now, what do you think made you driven and not the other 5 as driven?
You know, I think it's just if I look back today, I think, everybody has their own destiny. Everybody got their own cards, you know. And I think for me, when I was younger, um, my middle name was Ngọc, meaning precious gem. Thach Nguyen Ngọc Thach, right? And when I was younger, my mom and the guy used to always label, right, Ngọc with the precious diamond, the precious gem, right? And for years, for many, many years when I was younger, I always be the one my mom always rely on. Hey, can you do this for me? Hey, I need your help with this. And can you help me around? Can you go to the store with me? And I always been that person like, supposed to help my parents. And then what happened when I got older, every thought, my mom and she asked me to go lead that at people's business and people's house. And I just owned it. I owned it like I'm the one, like the Matrix, right? And from there, I just grew into just knowing I'm the one. And so I think it was probably part of destiny, you know. And look, my brother and sister, they all got the same exposure, came from the same mom and dad, and I was just destined. And I met a certain group of people, and I got exposed, and it was off to the race.
How did you meet these people, and how did you get started?
I met one person, Mike Ferry, and then from there, Mike Ferry had brought a lot of great people around his seminar. I get to meet this person, and then from there, it just connected me. And at some point, I got connected to a good friend of mine. Then he connected me to Wayne Dyer. And then we start to go to all of Wayne Dyer and then Deepak Chopra and Abraham. I mean, I met all these great people on my journey. And that's why I learned about spiritual. And to me, spiritual, you really get honest, finding spiritual is as good or better than financial money.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yes. Think about it. You had $1 million and you're unhappy.
So it's worthless.
Worthless.
Now, Wayne Dyer passed away a few years ago. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
The first time we met Wayne Dyer was I was in a mastermind group with a bunch of my friends, and we hired Wayne Dyer to come and speak to us. It was cool. It was a private room, only about 40, 50 of us. And Wayne Dyer, spoke about manifesting and energy, right? Right. Change your thoughts, change your world, and we got exposed to that kind of stuff. And when I really started to understand it, I realized that our thoughts create things, right? Our thoughts create manifestation. So the question is, how often are we even conscious of our own thoughts, let alone what we say to people, let alone what we say to our own kids?
Right.
The thing about Asian parents is unconsciously, I know it's come from love, they instill in their kids more fear than positivity.
Yeah. That goes on.
Especially the successful parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the successful parents, right? They really drill that shit in hard. My kids right now, I got to find the balance on, giving them unconditional love, giving them space to do what they want to do, but also influence them to do the right thing. It's a balance.
Yeah, it still blows me away how you tapped into this, like Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, how you really focus, because I haven't met any Vietnamese person into those, authors, and I've read them and listened to them, growing up all my life, but it's not prevalent in our community to be reading these authors.
It's not. Our people, it's coming from lack of, I came from nothing, and their main conscience is, I need to make money to stabilize the family.
Yeah.
And they will work 20, 30, 40 hours a day, sacrifice their relationship with their wife, their kids, their well-being to give that financial stability. But what they don't realize is they're leaving everybody else missing.
Right.
Now, I remember I used to know this girl named Linda, still know her. Her dad was, again, another successful Vietnamese dad who had so much influence on Linda, as in, I want you to make sure you be a pharmacist and be good. And she had the daughter so well trained. I said, I got to obey my dad, whatever he say, even though I don't agree, I have to make sure I say yes. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to be disowned. That's how most Asian
Yeah.
in all nationalities come up like that.
And it's changing with our generation.
It is.
It's
And
changing big time.
that's why I think our generation, we have to take it to the next level.
Yeah. We are. We definitely are. And I see that you are really engaged in your social media work. When did that start happening? When did you start to have that realization? Wait a minute, this is all part of this ecosystem.
Man, you're one of the few brothers understand that. 2 years ago, before social media came out, I remember when I was becoming more and more successful, I used to get asked to speak at a lot of real estate offices, especially being a minority, right? And becoming a millionaire at such a young age. I was asked to speak at a lot of real estate office, but a lot in Southern California.
Mm.
I used to fly down a lot because most of the office down there is owned by minorities. Vietnamese office and Hispanic office.
Yeah.
A lot of them in Southern California. And when I went there and I spoke to them, you know what I realized? They all see me as them. And it didn't matter if they were Hispanic and I'm Vietnamese. And so what happened when social media came out, one of my friends recorded me talking. And all of a sudden, everybody was like, yo, it's so great to see you on social media. Thanks for the positivity. And then as the day go by, the week go by, the month go by, I realized my gift is to you. Before this happened, I used to always watch Oprah Winfrey. And I just say, Oprah has a platform called Oprah Winfrey Show that she's inspiring and empowering billions of people. And I used to always say, do it, God, please give me the platform so I can be like an Oprah Winfrey, my own message, my own platform, so I can inspire and empower billions of people myself. Because my vision is to inspire and empower billions of people to reach for the goals and dreams and see that anything is possible by me sharing my own life story and journey. And so when social media came out, I realized I've been gifted my platform.
Oh,
That's why my social media platform is different from everybody else. Because I drop a lot of motivational,
yeah,
real estate tip, but if you listen to it, it's more motivational, more spiritual than it is real estate.
absolutely. I got that right away. And to come to that realization, to understand that is such an important thing in what you do, I can see how the Dwayne, Wayne Dyer and all of these motivational materials seep into your brain eventually.
Yeah. I realize this is doing real estate and investing and making a lot of money is just the vehicle to where I gotta go. But the body, the encompass, this vehicle is this beingness, this energy. And that right there, right, is about inspiring and empowering people.
Were you raised Catholic or Buddhist?
Catholic. Catholic. I go to church, Catholic, my mom and dad for many, many years when I was younger.
And you still go?
My mom, she's getting old now, so she doesn't go as much. So I used to take all the time. But when I got exposed to Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and Tony, and I've seen Abraham Hicks so many, many, many times live. And then I realized for me, I'm not choosing one or the other. I just got exposed to reading all spiritual enlightened teachers.
Yeah. Going back to Abraham Hicks, that's a trippy story.
It is.
It's a trippy story because Abraham Hicks represents the whole universe, I guess. The voices of everybody who's ever lived is coming through this speaker, yes, Abraham Hicks, through this woman named Esther, right?
Right.
And for us Catholic boys, that when we were growing up, I mean, that's like, you don't follow people like that. That's like the devil,
The devil, exactly.
You just make sure you steer clear of that. So when I first heard of it, I was like, wow, that's pretty freaky because the information coming out of Abraham Hicks is a voice of eternal eternal wisdom just coming out. Do you feel like that's a gimmick coming from Esther, or that is a real thing that she's channeling? I'm not knocking down the potency of the message, because I think wherever it's coming from, it's pretty badass coming out of Esther and Abraham Hicks.
I agree.
I wonder, I always wonder, and I want to ask you today, your opinion, is it an act, a gimmick, that she's just a really bright person and she was able to come up and develop the
That's a great
character?
question. Well, first of all, I agree with you. If you really, really is conscious
Yeah.
and listen to the message, it is powerful beyond measure. That's why Wayne Dyer's a student, Oprah Winfrey's a student, Deepak Chopra, Dr. Gray, right? All of them are students of Abraham. The secret
Came from that.
theory is all them, right? It's all them. They're all students of Abraham. When I when I first went saw Abraham in real life at an event 10, 15 years ago, and I seen that she go into an unconscious meditation state.
Wow.
And then you see all of a sudden the different energy, different being, different voice, whole different energy come out of the body. You know it ain't the same as Esther.
Man, I'm getting
Because Esther has
goosebumps.
own energies. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Now, what really brought it home for me was this. My aunt, her name is Go Lang. And Go Lang lived next door to my mom and dad. And of course, they're like relative with my mom and dad for many years in Vietnam. And Go Lang, when I was younger, she had the ability to do what Esther Hicks does. And I remember the first time I seen it, it was at my house, my mom's house, when I was living there. And somehow, I can't remember what happened, but Go Lang would just, and within second, the whole body would pop up and a whole voice will come through Go Lang's body coming through. And she started talking to us. And we sit there, my mom, my dad, all of us asking, Thai. That's what my mom said, Thai, right? What do you think about this and this, that? And I remember one time, man, he loved to drink Vietnamese people, right? They love drinking Hennessy. That's the whole thing, right? And Coors. And she told my dad, she looked at my dad, she says, "My, if you don't stop drinking, you're gonna die." Right? And it was in a whole serious voice. And my dad was like, "Oh, whatever, whatever." And seriously, Golang's body leaped up out of the chair, over the table, grabbed the bear, and threw it across the room. Scared the shit out of me, man, my mom and them. And it's a trip. And not a couple of years later, my dad died from liver cancer.
Oh, shit.
Right? So I know there's a lot of people out there that can do what I call transmitting. And I think all of us, at some form, we can transmit. I might not go to sleep like Abraham or Golang, but I am transmitting energy from the top. When I'm like in a relaxed state, I can hear messages.
Wow.
Right? And it meaning not a voice, but just intuition. Does that make sense? Yeah. Turn right. And we all have that, what Abraham says. So that's why I believe it's real.
Man, I come for, a lot of us come for the real estate, but we stay for this, spiritual talk. Because
I love this kind of stuff, bro.
Yeah, I see it. I see it on your Instagram, and I'm like, holy shit, this is because I've been following this whole Abraham Hicks thing for a good 10 years too. But I never saw Esther live, or I never saw that performance. And I always wondered, like, is this some sort of show that she puts on? She's just she's real.
I see it. I see Jared Esther at least 10 years now.
They're still alive. Both of them are still alive.
Jerry passed away. Esther's still alive.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that a lot of the people that we talk to in life don't know about what goes on with Abraham Hicks. Like, the very few people know about it. And I was like blown away because my boy a few weeks ago said, "You got to check out Thach Nguyen," and I was like, "Oh, I know of him. I know he's in the real estate game." And then I started to scroll and learn about and I was like literally telling somebody about Abraham Hicks the day before. And I was like, "Oh, this is a sign. Here it is right here."
Yeah. You have to be ready to attract the message to see the teacher. Most people are living in fear-based, trying to survive, let alone attract personal growth.
Did you ever, when you talk, I hear different languages come out, like NLP, neuro
Yes.
linguistic programming, I hear coming out of you. I hear, the idea of joy, the idea of, because NLP is based off a lot of this idea of speaking
Into
your
existence.
right, speaking reality into existence, and manifesting all this stuff. And then I hear landmark,
Yeah.
landmark education.
And
I
all
hear,
of it.
so you've done these programs.
And all of it. I done landmark form, landmark advanced, landmark curriculum, SLP, right? Money, relationship, you named it. I done it. NLP. I took all the NLP classes. That's why I'm very diverse in all this exposure. That's why today making money is just a byproduct of who I'm being today. But I'm not about just making money. I'm about a joyful, happy, at peace, aligned millionaire. And that's different.
Very different. Very
Very
different.
few people have that.
Yeah, and the languages that you just talked about are real languages, because you could hear it sometimes in like President Obama's talk,
Yep.
with the use of possibilities. You
Yes.
hear it all the time. Have you gone through the forum, or have you gone through the advanced course, and all of these courses, you hear it in the languages of leaders, of corporate leaders, of C-suite people. You hear it, like all of Panda Express. It's all mandatory to go through Landmark. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
And it
Yeah.
makes sense. All of this stuff is, propelling us to step out of like the old forms of religion and
Yes.
into a new way of being, which
Yes.
is actually pretty ancient, right?
Yeah. It is. I mean, beingness has been around forever. Right? But of course, human being has been, fight or flight all their life.
And when you talk to Vietnamese people about all this stuff, like in your world, how do they react to all this language?
The young people love it.
Mm.
Who I inspire are the new generation. They all love it.
Yeah.
Right? They all love it. I mean, I get asked to speak to a lot of, again, Asian community. Like my mentorship program, I have 2,000 or 3,000 students in this program. 70% are minorities, Vietnamese, Chinese, Hispanic, right? You name it, all across. And I realize again, I'm teaching the minority how to see what they want, speak it into existence, take action until it manifests.
And all of this stuff takes, I would say, highly technical ways of thinking about manifesting. It's
Of
not that
course.
you just don't do it on accident. You just don't like sit and do this stuff. Has to be, you have to take classes to kind of really understand the nuts and bolts of the technical side of this manifestation. It's not just woo woo. It's not just some like loose woo woo here we're talking about.
Right. To me, what I think about manifesting is when people are meditating, all they're doing is learn how to practice quiet their mind so they can actually be just present. When you play baseball, for example, if you're present, you can see the ball coming very slow. When you're present, when you play tennis, you can see the ball coming across at a 100-mile serve, and you can see it bounce in slow motion. See, that's being present. So the problem, most people are so in reaction every day that they see even a 20 miles an hour ball coming in at lightning speed. So this is one of the things I teach people about real estate, but in my teaching, I teach people how to be first.
Yeah.
Right. Because the creation process be, do, have. It's the be coming for the doing. Right.
Yeah.
And so my inspiration today is beyond being Vietnamese, is I want to teach a lot of minorities what I haven't been exposed to.
Going back to the social media game, when you got into it a few years ago, we come from an older generation, and understanding, Instagram or Facebook or Snap or TikTok. How did you get comfortable? I mean, did you have to hire a team, or did you do it yourself?
Well, one of my young friends, his name is Lorenz, he worked with me today. He's a young guy, and he's the guy who said, "Hey, let me intern with you for like 2 or 3 months. You teach me real estate, and let me run your social media for you."
Wow.
Yeah. And that's how it started. And then as He understands social media. He understands trend. He understands editing. He understands trending music, right? And he understands social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, right? He understands all that. And all I had to do was just speak what I want as a message. And the more I spoke about it, the more I edit, and the more I see in the video, the more I see how we can do it better. Next time we're gonna say this, do this, so that people can catch it. That's why most of my video, you notice, are very condensed, short,
Very tight.
to the thing.
They're very tight. And that has to do with the evolution of understanding the messaging.
That's right. And the platform, right? And I tell you, the biggest thing with Asian, why they don't like doing social media, because we was brought up not to brag.
That's what I'm saying. It's and for your generation, our generation, to have somebody really talk about and right through, I talk about this with other content creators. We have a hard problem talking into the camera and doing what you do, which is giving a direct message to the people out there and being comfortable and confident with that. Asian men don't have that typically. A lot of white kids, they have it all over the internet, but you see, it's rare that you see even an Asian man, but an Asian man your age.
Right. And yeah, exactly. 52 years old on TikTok. Come on, let's get real. Nobody do that shit, right? And let alone talk about success. Talk about, you know what I mean? The wins. Talk about the losses. Talking about the money. Money, politics, and sex. That shit, you know what I mean? Create massive controversial, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Especially money in the Asian culture. Don't tell them what you're doing. Keep it low key, right? We want to be humble. Well, if you keep that mindset, you're not doing any justice to nobody, right? Nelson Mandela says, Nelson Mandela, right? A speech says, when we let our own light shine, we liberate others to shine also.
And that's hard to think about. It's hard to execute. I mean,
right.
Really hard to execute, these sort of ideas because it's not ingrained in our culture.
Yeah, you're right. That's why I always say we have to lead by example, even for our own kids. If you don't allow your light to shine, then you're not going to allow your kids' light to shine. See, that's the problem with the old culture, the old mindset. See, that's the biggest problem. That's why new generation like us, we got to be okay with letting our light shine, especially if you don't let your own light shine, how would you ever be truly fulfilled? It's the light that actually gives us feeling fulfilled spiritually inside. Because we're living to our fullest potential.
Yeah.
Captivating it, holding it in.
How much hours a day do you devote to sort of like the guided meditation, the reading, all the personal development stuff versus like really working, doing deals?
I physically sit and I meditate for about 15 minutes, probably 5 days a week. But meditation also doesn't mean sitting. Meditation, you just go for a walk and think and ponder. It's the same thing. Sometimes I don't feel like working. I go walking down by the water where I live. Just pondering, just thinking, reflecting. That's meditating.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you only spend 15, 20 minutes a day on the mental work.
Yeah. And of course, now I'm always exposed and reading and seeing quotes, this and that. But if you spend 10, 15 minutes, all you need that much to just reset the button to get you from unconscious to conscious.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. When you are aware, you have option. When you have option, you have power.
And what about the physical, like the gym and all of that stuff? It seems like a big part of your life too, an equally big part.
I work out 5 days a week. I have a personal trainer. I'm 52 years old. I go there, I work out like I used to work out when I was younger. Of course, I can't bench press, 250, 275. But today, what's more important to me is energy, flexibility, tone, strong, fit. I mean, I still can box jump straight up. You probably see on Instagram, I still box jump probably 45 inches.
Wow.
So I don't let the age tell me that, this and that, but I'm still very flexible. I mean, again, I can still bench press well, but for me now at 52, I'm not trying to deadlift or, squat 300 pounds. That's not important to me. but I want to just be strong, lean, have full of energy, and just be flexible so I don't get hurt when I get older.
This idea of reciprocity and philanthropy that you bring up quite a bit, that's also something that the Asian cultures, we don't really emphasize much about.
Yeah.
Where did you get that, and what is your whole idea behind it? This
Yeah,
idea
man,
of
that's a good question.
reciprocity.
First of all, my mom is the generous person in the house.
Mm.
I give my mom money to send to Vietnam. She send the whole damn money back to Vietnam. I gave you $10,000. Where's the rest of the money I gave you? I sent it all away. What the hell, mom? Some of that was for you. What are you doing? Right?
Wow.
She's been like that for a long time. And so what happened was again, letting your own light shine. She was a light for contribution. And I learned that when I was young. But I really learned it when my dad was dying from cancer. At the eulogy, at his funeral, some of his old friend, especially the people that came from Vietnam with him when they met him over here, that live here now, they said that how much my dad was such a huge contributor in Vietnam to help the people, and then when he come over here, so many of his friends who are the person who just got welfare, right, when they get here, they spoke about it, and I realized my dad wasn't a person that made a lot of money. He was a social worker, and I was blessed when I made money. I gave my dad a lot of things that he always wanted, he couldn't afford, like a Mercedes Benz, right?
Yeah.
And so when my dad passed away, I realized that, and then I asked Go Lang when Thai was in her, right? Why my dad passed away? Because I remember the day my dad passed away, I was at his bedside, right? And I asked Thai when they came to Go Lang, why you take my dad so early? Right? He's only 67 years old. And then the Thai said, your dad is getting old and he's not going to be able to do a lot more work with the torch. He's leaving now so he can give you the torch. So you can do more of his work. So when that happened, I owned it. And so today, I send money back to my mom in Vietnam. She's going next week. And they go back, they remodel churches in Vietnam, and they plaque it with my dad's name. In Seattle, I built houses, community houses, and I plaque the community Young's house. I do a lot of work on that. And I do a lot of work to help poor people. If you probably seen it on social media, I work with the Seattle Sounders, right? And I'm helping them build 26 soccer field around the Seattle area for low-income kids. And it's part of a campaign before the World Cup get to Seattle here on 2026. They have a campaign called 26 by 26. And I made a commitment. I'm going to help build it, right? And I just bought this house recently for $700,000. And it cost me about $175,000 to rehab it. But what happened was I went to some of my vendor and I asked them, would you help give me a discount on the cabinets and this and that? And what's crazy, Ken, was I went to my bank and I told the bank what I'm doing. The bank says, I asked the bank, would you give me a discount on the fees and the loan and not charge me so much for charity? I'm going to flip this. I'm going to give all the money to charity. And the bank says, for the kids, I'm going to do it better for you. I'm going to donate you all the money to buy the house and all the money to rehab it for free.
Shit.
And then after that, I was so inspired. I went to all my vendors I do business with. And I said, hey, would you give me a discount on the cabinets? And the cabinet people said, for the kids and what you doing in the community, I'm all in. I donate all the cabinets for you for free. So from the list went on, everything, cabinets, lighting, flooring, tile, heating, fence, landscaping, the whole entire house was all donated for free. And I'm about to put the house on the market today. And when this house sale, I'm probably going to make $200,000, $300,000 in profit. I'm going to donate the whole entire check to building the outdoor soccer field for the Seattle Sounder with them, because I partner with them now. That's what I'm doing in real time right now.
It's amazing. Amazing. And the fact that you listen to Thai through Kolang is something that I want to bring up. JP Morgan, I think, said in the 40s, maybe, JP Morgan, the founder of, the finance company, said millionaires don't listen to Thai, what the equivalent of Vietnamese we say Thai, or the people who are talking from the other side of the world, right? Which is the dead or
universe,
the
higher
universe.
power.
He said, JP Morgan said, the millionaires don't listen, but all billionaires have their Thai.
Wow.
Crazy, right? This is JP Morgan saying some shit in the 40s about that.
Wow. That's inspiring.
That's some crazy shit. Yeah, I've been hearing this recently, and I'm just blown away, because maybe the millionaires are just doing things, and they're just kind of like doing things that they feel is right. But then when you get to the billionaire level, it's like, wait, we do things that feels right inside, but we're also getting information from another place.
Yeah. And you know what this trip? Higher power, Dua, Thai, Buddha, whatever somebody want to call it.
Yeah.
It's always sending us message. Either we're listening or we're not. Either we're making it easy to flow down the river, or we don't listen and we resist and roll up the river in life.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what Thai guy said? It's your choice.
How you sound like you've had mentors coming up, right? A lot. How did you find your mentors?
Yeah. From through friends, and then later on from attraction through attraction. Right? Wow. Because the same mentor is always attracting a certain people. I might be speaking on stage, and then somebody in the crowd is a mentor, and they go, man, I like this guy. And we connect. And he being someone I've been looking for. And I happen to be someone that they like to connect with. And then that's how I just meet all the right mentor. That's for me.
How do you know if you found the right mentor?
When I find them, they say certain things, and I go, wow. Look, me and you attracted each other. Everything you're saying is exactly what you and I both are on the same wavelength. So the fact that we're talking, and I know we're meant to connect today.
Yeah. Again, my boy, he was like, you should check out Thach's, IG. And then I looked, and then the third post down was Abraham Hicks. And I'm like, there's no way. There is no way a guy who's older than me, you're 52, I'm 47, 5 years older than me, is talking about Abraham Hicks as a Vietnamese man somewhere out in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. There's no way that he's talking about Abraham Hicks, because that's like more like a, LA vibe where, you're wearing hippie clothes and you're down here and, talking about Abraham Hicks. But I was like, whoa, this is like a money guy talking about Abraham Hicks. It's
that's rare to have a Vietnamese guy, 52, who is a money guy, right? Interested, inspired, listening to spiritual work.
Yeah, very rare.
Like opposite.
Almost, you really don't see it. I mean, I don't, and I've been doing this for a few years. I can't recall. Now, members of the artist community, obviously we were into that kind of stuff, creatives, people who are writing movies and stuff like that, musicians, we're those kinds of people, but it's rare to find finance and real estate people into that stuff.
Listen, I've been around for a long time, and I've met a lot of people in the world of business, and you're right. It's more finance driven, greed, power versus happiness, alignment, joy. Yeah.
Joy. Yeah. It's really about joy.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah. What's your end game?
Inspire and empower people. Financially, I'm already set.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just an instrument now to be used to the fullest to inspire my kids, my viewers, my followers, my friends to, see that anything is possible. And blend beingness and doing this. Money. I tell people, you can have money and feel humble.
Right.
Fine and joy. You don't have to choose one or the other. That's how I'm packaged. I want to make that available for everybody. Okay. I'm a rare package, right? And I want more people to have this package. And I didn't show up born like this. I
Yeah.
got exposed to it. So I want to expose myself to as many people as possible and make it available for them.
Well, thank you for the work that you do. It's really inspiring. Do you ever go to Vietnam? I mean, do you go to Vietnam to do business?
I haven't, man. I haven't.
Why?
The calling's not there yet, I guess.
So it's
When
a
when the
natural
calling
field.
comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the calling comes, you know what I mean? We see, right? Yeah.
But have you been approached by people in Vietnam?
I got approached by one person. He's here and he lived in the US. He went back to Vietnam recently. He was asked to be one of the person, to go back and check out the Vietnamese electric car,
Mhm.
And he's like, hey, Tad, we got a group of people going back to Vietnam. We're checking out the car. This is like last year. And it wasn't the right timing for me, But not someone in Vietnam that approached me. But I think, I'm always open to hear things, to receive things. And I think when the timing is right, it would just show up.
Right. And I agree. And do you go back to Vietnam quite often?
I used to go back every other year, but with COVID, it messed it up.
Yeah.
So I'm sending my mom. She want to go back for February. She's going next week. She's gonna go back there for a month. But this year, my brother and sister, they all couldn't make. They're not gonna be able to go this December. We talked about it. So next December 24th, I already told them the other day already that, hey, everybody block out the last 2 weeks. Let's make it happen. Grandma, like 100 years old. Look, I'm going to tell you guys right now, you all want to go. I'll buy everybody airplane tickets and everything. You guys just pay your own. Hotel is cheap in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Airplane tickets like $2,000, right?
Yep.
I said, look, I'll buy everybody airplane ticket and then you got to get your hotel and then we're good. Let's go. And all my brothers and sisters like, okay, you buy them, I'm going.
I prepared all these real estate questions for you, like the market downturn, all this bullshit. We didn't even get to it.
Hey, we can do that on part 2 next time.
I'm down. Let's do it. Let's do part 2 soon. Todd, thank you so much for today. Let's get back into part 2. We'll do the real estate. This was much more important than the real estate stuff. I mean, to be honest with you.
I don't need no script for this. I just speak from the heart. I speak from life experience. And this is why stuff like this, is always, inspiring me because to me, this is real wealth.
Right. And this is what gets you to the real fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah. This work here is, I mean, for anybody, now I'm realizing it's real estate or film or music. If you can tap into, God, the word personal development sounds so cheesy, but that's what it really is.
Yeah.
And if you can tap into this whole world of, it's almost like a quantum place, quantum physics, where there's things happening where we just can't see it, but we're measuring it.
Yeah. If you can take what you're doing in business, take this, what we talk about, and lay it over like this, instead of making 1x, you could make 10x in life.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for today. We will continue this conversation with the part 2, talk about the real estate game and your thoughts on it and your development on it.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Vietnamese with Kenneth Nguyen. The Vietnamese is produced by Brittany Tran. Special thanks to Jane Nguyen, Catherine Nguyen, Tina Pham, Sydney Jamie, and Christo Trin. Please find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Vietnamese Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, where you can subscribe, like, and comment. Please rate and give us a review wherever you find our podcast.